Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, it's Arran Smith here from Microsoft. Welcome to this webinar on empowering potential, and the second one I've done for the British Dyslexia Association. So just before I start the actual talk presentation about some of the technology that Microsoft are doing, I just want to talk a little bit about Microsoft itself. And I want to show you this. So this is part of Microsoft's mission. Well, it is Microsoft's mission. So about 5 years ago, Microsoft had a new CEO called Satya Nadella. Satya is a 25-year veteran of Microsoft. He's worked in Microsoft for a long time. He's done lots of things within Microsoft, not just worked as the CEO. Previously, he was their senior vice president for the cloud, so for Azure. He's worked in Bing, which is our advertising agency, and he's also worked in our server and enterprise business. And he was one of the first people that worked on Windows NT, for those that remember it. Now, when he became CEO, he did a lot of work and he actually changed the culture at Microsoft. And when it comes down to accessibility and disability, I actually think that this culture is really important. So it says there, at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And I think that's really important. I think that when we look at the word accessibility or disability, it was even more beneficial when Satya posted this on Twitter. So it says there, accessibility is a Microsoft priority. We focus on the design and the building of our products that our customers love and that are accessible for each of us and built in for all of us. I've read that a little bit wrong, but you'll understand that in a second why. So you can see there that Satya actually is really passionate around accessibility and is making it a priority. And that's because he lives that D&I lifestyle, that disability and inclusion lifestyle. He has a son with cerebral palsy and a daughter with cognitive difficulties. And he talks about that in his book, Hit Refresh. He talks a lot about Zane and talks about how his daughter and his wife have to travel to another state to get that support. So he kind of really does understand how it feels to be a parent with children with a disability or a difference. And I think that from a Microsoft point of view, we kind of look at these three areas really importantly and how we make accessibility sustainable. So it is all about the culture, the product, and the future. And I think that when we look at it, and when we think about, especially in our school environment or in our home environment or in our education concept, culture is very important. I think setting that culture and getting that culture right really helps us. Products are kind of that humility concept, that inclusivity concept, and ensuring that we actually aim for the future is really important. Now, Satya has a team of people that look after accessibility and disability, and it starts with Jenny. Jenny Leigh-Fleury is our Chief Accessibility Officer, and again, she lives that D&I lifestyle, that disability inclusion lifestyle, because she's deaf. And so she actually is an amazing character, a very big supporter of the internal and external policies at Microsoft regarding accessibility. So stuff like our autism hiring program and the way that we deal with our customers. Hector Mento is our our accessibility evangelist for the EMEA region. He looks after that concept, what Jenny has within the region we work in. Mike Tholson here is my boss. He's my kind of sponsor. Mike is our architect for Inclusive Classroom. He's also the general product manager for Onenote Education. Now this here, I would normally say at this point, we don't know who this person is because you can't actually see me. This is me, I'm Arran Smith. So a little bit about me so you know who I am. So you said my name's Arran Smith. I'm the UK's Dyslexia and SEND Consultant for Microsoft. I've worked in the field of dyslexia for over 15 years, either in a voluntary capacity or an employment capacity. My background is that I was diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 9. I class myself as a severely dyslexic adult. And my analogy when I was diagnosed to my dyslexia is like going to the dentist. That feeling of stress, anxiety, the feeling of self-worth was not there. I had an okay childhood when it came to home life. School I didn't really enjoy, but I do remember actually I was an act out at home child. I didn't really enjoy school, but I still went to school and I still went because I was out of home. But when I was at home, I was in my comfort zone. I could lash out a little more. I know I smashed a few windows. I know I broken my bedroom door a few times. And actually that bedroom door concept is when I actually have that memory that knows that my dyslexia was more of a strength than a disability. And I think for me, going in and actually looking at that concept, and the story goes that my dad said that you've broken your door, you need to go and get a new one. So we went to B&Q and we bought a new door, and I wanted a full wooden door. Previously I had a hollow door. And I said to him, I want you to cut it in half. So he cut the door in half. We put hinges on it, so we had a foldable door. And he asked me why I wanted that. And he said he thought it was just because I wanted it to look good. And I said, I'll show you. So when I kicked it down the third time when I'd done it, it meant the door smacked me in the face. So I found a solution to stop me kicking the door down. Now, that may be something that people think, well, you've just thought of it. But to me, I feel that actually, for me, was my dyslexia memory. I went through school, got 5 GCSEs. Didn't do too badly, I don't think. Went into the world of work, worked in youth work. Then I went into, did a couple of months on a building society, being a little bit dyspraxic, wasn't very helpful. Went into an environment of retail. Basically got to the point when I was very depressed, was making mistakes because my dyslexia and probably a few mental health issues was causing that issue. And ultimately, I actually got a job working for the British Dyslexia Association as the Membership Development Officer. Back in 2016, I then founded my 2 companies. I founded the SEND group and the LVA group, and then in 2019, I founded the Dyslexia Show. So I've kind of moved away and moved on in my life. I've actually kind of succeeded and actually used my dyslexia as that strength. So when we look at things, it's really important. So Microsoft kind of say that we have 1 billion people in the world that have a disability. Now, what that means is that we have to think about these people. So with over 1 billion people with disability, it's actually 33, sorry, I will read that again. I'm reading it backwards, I apologize. 83% of us are actually likely to gain a disability while working age. 70% of disability is hidden. 30 million people in the UK have a disability. 6.9 billion people of them are dyslexic. If we work on the 10%, 6.3 million. And it costs the UK about 25 billion a year spent to power the disability community. And that's quite a lot of money, but when we think about it, we could actually do a lot more. So that concept of 1 billion people in the world, Microsoft added a little bit more to their kind of mission. So at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. With more than 1 billion people in the world with a disability, there are no limits to what people can achieve when technology reflects the device the way they use it. And this is a really good concept to think about. We use technology every day. As a severe dyslexic, I've been using assistive technology for a lot of my life. And actually, if we look at the world today, let's think about a cash machine. Cash machines that have jack sockets in. Sat navs that help us find a way around. Using our phones to check our diaries. Using our phones, having notifications on our phones or on our wearables like our watches. These are all accessibility tools that may not be thought of accessibility tools, which are. Now, Microsoft are looking at multiple areas of trying to promote that independent learning concept. So we're looking at mental health, we're looking at neurodiversity, mobility, hearing, visual learning. I'm going to show you today a number of tools built into Microsoft products around that learning, visual and hearing. But I want to just concentrate very quickly on mobility. For those watching the webinar and when you watch it again, don't forget to go to that aka.ms/accessibility-sway. It's a really good website with lots of information about all the areas we're working on. But let's just think about mobility for a few seconds. So take this concept, and I'm going to be very stereotypical here. Think of that concept of that 14-year-old boy who plays on his Xbox. So we know that Microsoft has an Xbox, makes Xbox. So think about this concept that we've basically got this Xbox concept. 14-year-old boy is playing FIFA, playing Fortnite, playing lots of games. He's using both his thumbs. He's in a high school with a sixth form college. He gets friendly with a sixth former. They've just passed their driving test. The statistic happens. They happen to be in an accident, and the 14-year-old boy loses a limb. Now, it's a sad thing to think about, but let's now think about this concept of gaming. If you enjoy gaming and you find that as a passion and you've lost a limb, how do you do it? So Microsoft created the world's first accessible game controller. This has won many awards in design and many awards, and it's actually in a number of museums as well. And this allows someone with a physical disability to game, adding lightweight joysticks, adding switches, adding sensors, so you can add anything in you need. But not only did we make the device, we also made a box. So this box is accessible. So this box allows us to actually open it with literally a hook. That is the concept behind it. Opening it very easily, very simply. And when I saw this, I was so happy. I get a bit excited about things like this, and this really excited me that actually how it opens is just amazing. One of the things you can't see on that is when you turn it over, it actually has 3 wheelchair adaptions. I'm very lucky that I actually have one of these to show people when I'm doing my talks out and about. So we're going to talk today about our inclusive classroom. We're going to look at reading, writing, maths and communication. And this is the concept that came from the BET show in January. So this is kind of like an update on what I've done previously, a few new things that have come out, talking about some about these things that we can actually talk about, and actually some exciting things. So it starts with learning tools. So that's where our place of work, our place starts with. So we're starting with the learning tools concept. So this came from a concept idea. It came from an idea where people in Microsoft were interested in multiple areas of differences. So what happened is that Mike Tholson and a few other people were interested in how learning helps people. So how does, when you're dyslexic, affect you? So if say you were thinking about, say, that reading concept, they were putting that together. So in 1 week in 2015, they came together and they hacked in learning tools into OneNote. And then basically it won that year, and it became that famous hackathon of how he's supporting people with dyslexia. Now, for those who don't know what OneNote is, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what OneNote is. So OneNote is your digital workbook. It's that cloud-based product. So if you think about that digital workbook concept first, let's think about a ring binder, think about the dividers, think about the pages. It's a really useful organization tool. So for me as a dyslexic, because it's cloud-based, it's not just on one device or multiple devices, and I can open it, I can put ideas into it. So I can put anything into it. So yesterday I used it for jotting down web addresses for my telephones in my house. Don't ask, but that's what I used it for. I've used it for dropping down information about events, blog posts, all these things that I've put into it. But the other thing about it from an education point of view, it organizes students. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to use something called Class Notebook, which allows us to deploy that exercise book concept to all of our students, but it's all digital. It allows us to be collaborative. We can collaborate with each other. But the really big thing about it from a dyslexic point of view is no more paper. All your notes are in one place, no matter what the device. So if you're using an iPhone, if you're using a Surface Book, a Surface Pro, a Surface Go, if you're using an Android, you're using a HP, Lenovo, if you just go into someone's house and going onto the internet, you can still access your OneNote because it's all in the cloud, no matter what your device is. Story from my childhood, history lessons, went through about 6 exercise books. Kept losing them. Won't lose my device, or hopefully not. So what we added in as part of that learning tools concept is these dyslexic tools. We added in Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader has text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting, visual stress aids, grammar options. We've also added real-time translation, which was new in January 2019, picture dictionary, math to speak, which came in October 2018, and dictation. So let me now talk about this and let me show you this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press the Windows key here. So I don't want it to do that. Oh, didn't want it to do that. I'll come back to that in a second. So I'm just going to go into the computer here. Of course, whenever you're doing a live demo, of course, things don't want to always work for you. There we go, got it up now. So I'm just going to bring OneNote in here. So this is OneNote here. I'm just going to press the Windows button here so you can see. This is this version of OneNote here. So what this is my Windows 10 app version. So what that means is that if you have a Windows 10 device, So if you go out tomorrow and buy a device from a supplier and it's got Windows 10 on it, doesn't matter if it's home, professional, business, enterprise, you will still have OneNote. OneNote is a free app. It's freely available for everyone. You can access it from two ways. You can access it from your personal Microsoft account, which is either at Live, at Hotmail, at Outlook, or you can access it from your Office 365 account. So if you have Office 365, you can log into it like that, like I do. So I've clicked onto it and I've opened up here my OneNote. Now this is my kind of demo OneNote, so it doesn't really have a lot in it. Basically it has text in. Now when I said to you earlier about that concept regarding the ring binder, we have our dividers, we have our pages, we have our content. So this is my content here. So this is maybe my content, this is maybe my geography content. Now I have an issue with this and I need to read it. As I'm dyslexic, I'm going to find that difficult. But if I go on the View tab, remember View is for looking, View is in for reading. I have my Immersive Reader here. I'm going to open Immersive Reader up, and it's going to do lots of changes. It's changed the background color, it's changed the font. I'm just going to put this back so you can see what it looks like when I come in normally. So if you were the first time you came into it, that's what would happen. So the first thing it's done is made some spacing and alignment. It's made the text spaced out. We can do some things with the text. We can make it bigger, we can make it smaller if we really wanted to. We can turn that spacing on and off. We've got some fonts. We've got an extra font, so Comic Sans is a new font. It's only been in there for about 6 months. We can do some different background colors. We've got lots of different background colors to choose. For argument's sake, Microsoft have used Erlang colors. We know there is. We have got some questions about background colors and the use of colors, but I think that actually, if something helps someone, for me, that's a positive thing. So we can choose the different background colors. We can do a few other things. I'm just going to drop that size down a little bit. We can do syllabication. We can break up words into syllables. We know how that will help our students. We can pick out our nouns. We can pick out our verbs. We can pick out our adjectives and our adverbs. Now, actually, that 14% of the 8% of the male population also have colour blindness. We can actually add labels to them as well. So we know actually that all these are my nouns. And it's very useful because I know what nouns are, but I don't know what the other three are anyway. So I can at least pick them out. I can do a little bit more. I can focus in on the line. I can focus in on a few lines. And that's really useful. We also may know that some students have communication difficulties, so actually we may not be able to read the word earth. But if we click on it, we can see a picture. We can see the word. Let's look at cord is my favorite word. It has 4 pictures in. And this, of course, what I didn't say to you, this is all free. Everything I'm showing you is all freely available unless I say otherwise. But the big beneficial is this.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography.
So you heard that very slightly. I'm just going to play that again just so you can have another listen.
Is called physical geography. High landforms can be mountains and valleys.
So basically what it was doing there, it was doing some text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting. And it wasn't doing it too bad. It wasn't doing it very fast, very slow, but I can change the speed, make it really fast.
They can also be glaciers or rivers.
So you can only, I'm using the speakers on my device and it's going through the microphone, so you may not hear it as well as you can, but you can see the logic there, it was going fast, and again, I can make it go really slow as well.
Landforms are sometimes called.
And that can be a little bit annoying, but it works. But that concept is really useful. I can also read single words.
No. Study.
So I can read up words, so I can make it easier for myself. But the other thing that what we've added is this. So let's now think of our students with English as an additional language. So let's think of our learners that find actually reading other languages difficult or communicating in other languages, because that's the other thing that we need to think about, that we do have students that come into our schools with other languages. So let's say I'm going to use, where's a language? So let's use Polish. I can turn a word into Polish. So there's the Polish for earth. But what I could do is then do the whole document. So the whole document now is turned into Polish. I can also do read aloud on Polish.
Badanie ziemskich landform nazywa się geografią fizyczną. Wysokie formy gruntów mogą być.
And that's a very useful concept. If we have students in our schools that have got English as an additional language, we can change that. And remember, this is all built in. This is not an add-on. It's already there. You have it today. If you have Office 365, you already have this. The other thing that's also really quite clever is this. So I've got a couple of maths equations here. If I go into Immersive Reader now, press the play button.
6c equals 5. Y linear divide 12.
And you can see that it's reading out the math symbols there. So it will also read out maths. It will also read out complicated maths. It also will read out the steps of maths as well. So if you've got an equation that needs steps, it will read that out as well. So again, a very useful, very beneficial concept there. But not only is it just it's not only in OneNote, it's also across our online infrastructure as well. So if we looked at our online infrastructure, so if we were in portal.office.com, right, I'm just going to bring this in here. So if we went into here and looked at, say, Microsoft Word, so if I go into Word and open this document up here, so I'm online, this is the online version of Word. If I go into the View tab, you can see here there's Immersive Reader as well. So I can see it online as well. And again, it's online Word, and also there you go, I can press the play button again. Very similar looking, maybe different colors because remember I'm online. It's also available in OneNote as well. But not only that, it's also available in Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is Microsoft's communication tool. We have over 91% of Fortune 500 companies using Teams, and Immersive Reader is built in there. It means you can read your chat, you can read any communication on Teams. We put it into Flipgrid as well. So Flipgrid is a company that we bought 2 years ago. It's an amazing concept for flip learning. And also what we've done now is put any content, any text, and that is also available using Immersive Reader. We went one step further in January this year, and that is we put it into virtual reality. So what this means is that the first thing is Microsoft is not expecting every child to wear a VR headset. But what we are saying is that actually there is children out there or students out there that need to be fully immersed in some point. So this may be that they need to be fully immersed in that concept because they're having difficulty with communication, or they're having difficulty with that sitting down and working out what they need to read. So basically what you can do with this is you can use Immersive Reader in the VR headset with the headphones on, so you can hear that text and follow along. Again, using the concept of saying reading Harry Potter with synchronized highlighting would be an amazing concept. And that of course is Mike in his cape doing his pose with a VR headset on, which is just amazing. And that is actually out for public beta. You can do that today. Now the other thing, of course, I've got there is Edge. So I'm just going to show you Edge. I'm just going to bring Edge in. I'm just going to bring it in onto the screen here. So this is Microsoft Edge. So this is this version here of Edge. I'm just going to point this out. So this is the version of Edge here that I'm using, and this is the standard version that you have today. You have this today. This version here, which I was using a few seconds ago, is the beta version for the new Edge Chromium browser. So Edge is moving to Chromium. It's using using Google Chrome. So I'm just going to show you what the availability in Edge is on what you have now, and then basically then what happens when we move into looking at the concept when we move to the other browser and the differences. So the biggest thing with this is what I can do. So this is a story about Larry Lamb weeping on the script of Gavin and Stacey that's coming out at Christmas. Now I know that because I've just read it, but I can't read it. I haven't read it because I read it very well. But I'm not going to be able to read the rest of the text. So I'm going to press the right mouse button and click Read Aloud. What's going to happen is
Copyright symbol Getty London, England. The 27th of September.
So you can see there it's doing some read aloud with some synchronized highlights. I'm just going to make that a little bit faster just so we can see.
The 27th of September. The 71-year-old actor is set to reprise his role as Mick Shipman in the popular BBC sitcom, which will return with a 1-hour festive episode on Christmas Day. So you told BBC's radio.
Sorry, I skipped it rather than press pause. So you can see there I've got that synchronization. You can see here at the top here I've got some controls. I can change a few things. But what also is happening is this is moving, and there's all this stuff going on that I don't really like, and I can't really. I've got a bit of distraction. I don't know what this advert is. Is this telling me, am I going to buy some wine? Am I going to see some other stuff? But what I can do is at the top here is this read view button. Now what I can do now is I can remove all that distraction and actually put me into my learning tools view on Edge. So this means actually a student, say doing a history lesson, wanted to get information, can actually do this. And again, they can change the background colors, they can turn spacing on and off, they can put the grammar tools on, so I can put the noun, I can pick out all the nouns, I can pick out, I've got the labels on. Again, you see this is a very useful concept. I can show syllable division, I can really do a few things. I've got a couple of text options I can do here. So again, a very useful tool there for our students, again, that have that distraction issue. But actually, the read aloud function on its own is just amazing. So that means for someone like me who likes listening to some news articles, mainly about the royal family or a bit about what's going on with Gavin and Stacey or something like that, I can literally press the right mouse button and listen. And that doesn't mean that I have to install or set up any third-party product. Some people will still need them, but actually, you know what? It's a really useful concept there. Hopefully you can see that actually that learning tools is changing people's lives. It's a life-changing experience. For me as a severely dyslexic, I would have normally installed two products. I would have installed my dictation product and my text-to-speech product. I would have installed them. I still have my text-to-speech product installed, which is a third-party product. I love using it and I still use it for certain things. I haven't yet installed my dictation product. And you'll see why when I talk about the next product. So we've kind of talked about Microsoft Word very briefly online. I want to talk about the desktop version. Now, what I'm saying now is that the desktop version is what you pay for. So schools pay for this version of the desktop, the same as charities do, the same as basically everyone pays for the desktop version. We don't pay for the tools. These tools are there already. So all the tools I'm going to show you are already there. So we've got the concept of Accessibility Checker. So Accessibility Checker is an amazing tool. It's a very useful tool for our sorry there, just bring that back. Accessibility Checker. We've also then got Read Aloud as well. Spell check Read Aloud, which is one of my favorite features. Syllable division, background colors. We've got column width, focus line, and of course dictation. So what does this mean? So Accessibility Checker is this concept of checking our documents. Do we know who's reading our documents? And this is showing here that actually that picture has got no alternate text, mainly for blind people this is, and we want to put that description in so people that are visually impaired can actually read that picture. The other thing about it, the Office 365 is co-authorable. I can have my version of Word open on my computer, a colleague of mine could have another version open, and I could be in what I call our co-authoring view. We could be either in this view here that has different color backgrounds, we can have our black background, we can change that. But they wouldn't know. No one would know. It's only for me. It's only for my reading capability. Spelling. We know that spelling was hard. Every time I was told to use the spell check, I couldn't read the spell check. So now we have the ability to read it. So what does this mean? Let me show you here. So I'm just going to bring my Microsoft Word document in. So as I said to you, I'm a consultant with Microsoft. I don't have any insider versions, any elite versions, any dog food versions. They're not brand new. This is the version that I get what I pay for. You can see here that I've got a few spelling mistakes, a couple of grammar mistakes. So I'm just going to correct this spelling mistake by pressing the right mouse button. Press the right mouse button. I've got three things to choose from. So I'm going to choose the bottom one. I'm going to click Read Aloud.
Finical, no reference information.
It said the word finical, no reference information. That's fine. Let's read the next word.
Fiscal, similar to economic, financial, monetary.
So it said the word fiscal, economic, financial, monetary. They're the three words it said. Now, to me, I know that my document, the word fiscal may not mean anything to me. It doesn't mean a lot to me. I know what it means, but it doesn't mean anything to me. But I do know that from one of the words, the two words, financial and monetary, I know that my document is nothing about money. So it's not that word. So let's use the last word.
Physical, similar to bodily, substantial, fruit.
Now the three words didn't help me, but I heard the first word. The first word was physical. Now I'm not going to change it at the moment because I want to show you something I am. So I'm just going to go in the review tab and click on the spell check button, which is just there. I lost them. And basically it brings up my editing panel. And my editing panel is very useful. I can click on here and change the language. So I can see here that actually there's not many spelling mistakes in English, which is a bit weird because there is. But actually in US English, I can look at the grammar. And basically, again, I can read this out.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography.
And again, I've got here the option to read out loud, spell out.
PHYSICAL.
Which is a feature I hadn't actually noticed until 10 seconds ago when I clicked on it, but you can see here that I can change that. So this grammar check concept, or this concept here, I can read it out. So it can show me here that it's landforms.
Landforms. LANDFORMS.
I'm so going to be showing people that.
High landforms can be mountains and valleys.
Again, you see, so I can really grammar check into it, and then using all that speech facility really helps people with dyslexia, but also other difficulties. But my other favorite feature is that spelling is an issue with lots of people, but actually spelling may be a frustration. So one of the features we have in Word is this one here. So this is available not just in Word, it's Word Desktop, it's available in OneNote that I just talked about. It's also available in Word Online and also on OneNote Online. So I can press this button here. I'm now going to use dictation to dictate what I'm going to talk about. Full stop. New paragraph. I'm going to think about what I'm going to say before I say it, and hopefully it will dictate pretty well. Full stop. New line. I'm using a number of commands to actually do what I need it to do. I'm using the word I'm a lot at the beginning of sentences. But let's think about words like Mississippi, Constantinople, dyslexia, association. So these are words that we know are difficult, and I ended the dictation there. Now, of course, it's got Constantinople wrong. It's got a few things wrong, so we can go back to it. But if we now can't read this, what we can do is we can click here and go into our review tab, and hopefully some of you may notice there's accessibility checker, but there actually is read aloud. Click on read aloud.
Now going to use dictation to dictate what I'm going to talk about.
So it's used the word gonna because that's when I said going to is the right word, but I can hear that because I've listened to it. Now it's quite fast because it's how I listen to stuff when I'm listening to my documents because it's my computer. But again, changing the speed, changing the voice can really help. It's got the synchronization. It's all there, it's all built in. So using read aloud, using dictation, using spell check is what we talked about. The last thing I want to talk about, of course, is the Learning Tools view. So we showed you that at the very beginning where we can change the view. This is the view for me to read, this is a view for me to do stuff. Again, syllable division, text spacing, focus line, read aloud, column widths. They're all available for me to do in Microsoft Word. So again, a very useful concept about using Microsoft Word. Now, this is an amazing thing. This is called the periodic table of learning tools. And basically what we can see here that actually that read aloud feature is in a lot of things. It's in all 4 versions of OneNote. So that's including iOS and Mac. It's in 5 versions of OneNote, 4 versions of Word. It's in both versions of Outlook. Now, what that means is that if you're using Outlook Office 365, if you click on the 3 double dots on the right hand side of any message, you'll see there open in Immersive Reader. Very useful. Read aloud is built into Outlook Desktop, Teams, all the versions of Flipgrid, Office Lens, and the Edge browser I've shown you. And you can see there where the parts of speech are, the color backgrounds, syllables, focus line, parts of speech. Sorry, not parts of speech at the beginning, I said spacing. It's parts of speech, translation, picture dictionary, dictation, and the maths equation. Dictation is in there, is in the versions of Outlook, as well as Word Desktop, Word Online, which I talked about, and Windows 10 and PowerPoint. So really important it's in PowerPoint. So Windows 10 concept isn't available in the UK yet, but it's coming soon. So a very useful concept there. But let's just highlight the 2 things. Let's think about now our workplace learners. Think about if we're deploying Office 365 in the workplace, ensuring that workers understand that they can read aloud in their emails, so in Outlook Desktop, and they can dictate in their emails. That's an amazing productivity tool. It's also a reasonable adjustment, so a really good concept to think about there. So let me just go back to that. Sorry, I'm just going to go back to that. Go back. That's it. Too far. You love it when computers want to work for you. There you go. So that web address at the top there, that aka.ms/Office 365 Learning Tools, that's where you can get that live document there on the screen. So aka.ms/Office 365 Learning Tools. So not got a little while, I've just got a few more things I want to talk about. So I just want to talk about PowerPoint for a second. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open a new PowerPoint up and bring it onto the screen and show you 2 things I am. So I'm just going to bring this onto the screen here. Make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to use a blank presentation to start with. Now, one of the hardest things that people find about PowerPoint is actually making it look cool, making it look neat. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new, where's my mouse gone? That's useful. Right, I can't see my mouse on there. Do apologize, just 1 second. There it is, I can see it now. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into here, I'm going to click on layout and just change the layout to this. So I'm now going to write something here. So I'm going to write agenda, A-G-E-N, agenda. And this is going to be my school staff meeting. It is. And I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to type in, ICT, I'm going to type in E-N-G, Inga, L-I-S-H. I'm going to type in maths. I'm going to type in break, break. I'm going to type in notes. So what I'm going to do now is just hopefully my mouse is in here somewhere. There it is there. Just trying to find what I'm looking for. There it is there. So now I've got to my design icons, and I'm going to just click on the last one there, which is design ideas. And basically what's going to happen is it's going to change my ideas. It's going to create a basic idea there for me. So small issue when you've got a PowerPoint behind on the top of a PowerPoint, mouse doesn't work very well, but there you go. I did it there. But you can see there it's made me a very nice fancy looking PowerPoint presentation, a very fancy PowerPoint screen, but also it's made the pictures linking the words. That's using artificial intelligence. So an amazing concept there. So I'm just going to bring my screen back in. Seeing AI is another amazing app you can use. Seeing AI is all about, it's an app for an iPhone and an iPad. It allows you to read real-time text. It allows you to read documents, scenes, handwriting. It's an amazing concept there. So seeingai.com, you can find out more about that. Again, Microsoft, it's free as well. So you can see there using PowerPoint and using artificial intelligence is changing that concept for people with disabilities. So like when we look at sustainability of technology though, this is really important. I think that actually that one of the things that people don't realize is that actually we do have to think about culture, we do have to think about buy-in, and we have to think about awareness. And this is for me talking to you as looking at it from your senior manager's point of view. The culture of an environment when we're looking at AT works really well. We have to have buy-in from the top, we have to have that awareness. So back a few weeks ago, Microsoft had a report from the Foster's Total Impact Report study on accessibility and built-in. And this is the three areas it was looking at. So it's looking at outcomes, improvement for student outcomes, teacher time saving, lower total cost ownership, and specific ICT management. These are the areas the results were focused on. And I just want to show you these 3 points that came out of it. These are really good key facts. 20% improvement in reading and writing by using built-in assistive technology. $50 IT saving per student per year because they were using online capability. An additional 97 hours of instruction time per teacher because the specialist education teacher was saving time and they can help students without logging into the system, which takes about 1.5 hours. So an amazing concept. It was an American study, of course, but them 3 things there actually give you the impact of why Office 365 with built-in accessibility works. Because what we've been looking at is we've been looking at technology which is built-in, mainstream, non-stigmatizing, and of course it's all free. We want to success that foundation or build that foundation of success, grow our students to become independent learners, encourage and empower our teachers, creative, inclusive and equality environments. Back in April, I did this as a quote for an article, putting technology at the heart of learning with accessibility tools built in for everyone creates independent learning and ensures that all students achieve their full potential. To me, accessibility is there. It works for me. I would love to say thank you very much for listening to the webinar. There is my email address. There is me on Twitter. If you want to ask me any questions, happy to take them. Thank you very much for listening.